Hello, my friends, and welcome back to I'm Diabetic with Anthony. While living with type 2 diabetes for the last 20 years, I noticed that my immune system was becoming weaker and weaker as time went by. I noticed that my colds, my flus, my fevers, my inflammation, and my cuts took longer to heal. So I decided to make a few extra lifestyle changes. I actually made three of them and realized that they evidently worked. Would you like to know which ones they are and the one that worked best for me? Well, you'll soon find out because I'm Diabetic starts right now. Alright, so now I'm going to briefly go over what the immune system is and what it does for our body. So basically, the immune system fights off invaders that try to enter our body. What do I mean by this? Well, it basically tries to fight off any viruses, germs, inflammation, diseases, colds, or other major diseases that try to attack our body. So, when it senses that something in our body is being attacked by a foreign agent issue, well, it automatically sends out a certain amount of white and red blood cells to the area together. And those cells kill off whatever is trying to affect our body. So it needs the right amount in order to do this. But if it doesn't have the right amount, well, it's going to have to work harder in order for this to happen. So basically, if we're diabetic, well, diabetes puts a lot of stress on the immune system. How? Well, this way. If there's a lot of sugar floating around in our bodies, well, all that sugar starts to kill off these cells, both white and red blood cells. How? Well, all that sugar gunks up the middle of these cells, which means there's less oxygen and blood going through those cells, nutrients getting into our body and bloodstream, and then these cells will not be able to fight off these issues. So being diabetic places a lot of stress on our immune system. Now you also must have to understand that everything we eat turns to sugar. So our body uses sugar as its main source of energy. If there's too much, it becomes a problem. Just like, we just talked about our immune system. If you're not diabetic, well then you're fine. If you're diabetic, well be careful. Understand that everything we eat turns to sugar. So I decided to make some extra lifestyle changes. I decided to make three of them. So now I'm going to go over which three they are. I'll start off with the one that was least likely to help, but it did. Working my way up to the best one, which will be number one, which has still been helping me the most. And it won't cost you as much either. So number three, I started to add extra exercise. That's right, my friends. Exercise for diabetics and for everybody does wonder for our body and our immune system. It makes our immune system stronger. For diabetics, when our body gets stronger, there's less sugar floating through our system because the body needs to use up more sugar in order for us to work throughout the day and our muscles get stronger. Now, cardiovascular does help, but it only lasts for a short time period and then it wears out. But I noticed that by adding extra weight bearing exercises, a few more than I did before, I noticed that my blood sugar went down much more and my immune system became a little bit stronger. Why? Well, because as our muscles get stronger and bigger, they rely on more energy. And where do they get this energy from? Well, the sugar. And when it starts using up a lot of sugar in our body, well, you know what? Then it brings down our blood sugar numbers. So I added muscle bearing exercise. But trying to do any kind of exercise is better than nothing at all. find out what best is for you through your doctor and start to do that. So, exercise, weight bearing worked for me. Next will be number two, which is I found out which foods help to get my immune system stronger. And which ones did I learn? Well, I learned that garlic and turmeric helped. Why? Well, because they both hold the secret ingredient in them. But before I tell you what that secret ingredient is, I'll just briefly go over what they both do to our health. Basically, they help with our blood pressure, they help with our cholesterol, and they help with getting our immune system stronger. Now, they have this secret compound in both of them called albumin. Almost sounds like onion. And this is a very powerful component because it fights off all infection. And when you start using this compound by eating these two foods, well, then there'll be less stress on your body as well. And there'll be your body, your immune system will be able to work faster and better at fighting off all these viruses. Which one was better for me? Well, I know that garlic was. Because you could use garlic in many different ways by grinding it up and sprinkling it all over. But I know it has a bitter taste to it. So I use it more on the weekends or when I am not doing anything else throughout the day. So garlic was good for me. Next is the number one lifestyle change that I made that works the best for me. And what is it? Well, I brought my blood sugar down. That's right, my friends. I lowered my blood sugar down. And I realized that by doing this, well, my immune system got stronger and worked at its best. How did I do this? Well, for those of you that know my story, I had an A1C of 12.1, and then within 1 year, I reduced it to 5.2 by understanding which food spiked my blood sugar. And I applied this method. What was that method? Well, I tested my blood sugar every time I ate. 1 hour later, this makes a big difference because during this 1 hour period, this is when a peak happens, spike, when our blood sugar spikes the most. And you'll get a better understanding on a few things. For example, how that food actually spiked your blood sugar. And you'll also understand what your number is. So, and also you'll understand the damage that's doing to your overall health. Because when the spike actually happens, well, health issues start throughout our whole body. And these health issues, they will not be associated with the sugar spike that we get after we eat. For example, you go to your doctors, they do an A1C test, and you know what? They'll say your A1C is great, your blood sugar is great, but now you have these other issues. But they will not refer these issues to that sugar spike. Now, a sugar spike happens to everybody, diabetic or not. So this is very important to see how high your sugar spikes after 1 hour. So now, by testing, I realized which foods were problematic to me. Well, I learned that my grains, my sugars, my oats all spiked my blood sugar and starches. Those were my worst enemies. Also, I learned that, well, Frankenstein foods spike my blood sugar. What are they? What were they? Well, the pasta, bread, rice, and potatoes. And even kiwi. Sorry, quinoa, not kiwi. I said that once in my other videos too, but it's quinoa. In my case, they super jacked up my blood sugar, so I had to mostly divorce them. That's right. But it's going to be different numbers for everybody. So it's very important that you find out how these foods affect your blood sugar numbers. And when you do, you could incorporate them in ways that they won't spike your blood sugar numbers, or you might just have to remove them like I did. But it's well worth your health, my friends. So I had to say bye bye to all those foods: potatoes, rice, pasta, wheat, starches, oats. That's right. But now you're probably saying, well, you know what? All these foods, these wheats, grains, and oats are supposed to be healthy for us. Yes, they are. But the way Mother Nature gives it to us from the ground up, not after man chops them down and turns them to all these great foods that taste good. I'm just like you, my friends. I like the good food as well, but there was a time period when I just had to say bye bye to them. Well worth it. That's right. So now you're probably saying, well, testing is very expensive to do. And it is. But I'm going to provide you with a few tips to how to get cheap, reliable testing materials. Now, I can't tell you the monitor I used or equipment because this channel is not sponsored by any company. But I can give you some tips at some of the ones that are available and are cheap. For example, don't go by how expensive the monitor is. Forget that. Go by how cheap the test strips are because they do the same job just as all the other ones do. How do I know this? Well, I put them to the test too. I tested all three of them: the cheap, the mid grade, and the most expensive one. And they all gave me the right same numbers. Now, when in the monitor section, well, the cheap test strips come with a cheap monitor. So I learned that too. Now, in my case, I used two different monitors to confirm this issue of how food spiked my blood sugar numbers. And my friends, they were very close alike. And the blood sugar numbers don't lie, they were created by science. So science doesn't lie, right? Well, we hope not because my blood sugar numbers went down by doing all those testing. That's right. Now, also, I noticed that foods that used to be okay with my numbers, as the years went by, I realized that they started to slowly spike my numbers. Now, why is this? Well, because some companies tried to add flavoring to their foods. And what's that flavor that they could add to make everything taste good? Well, we know it: sugar. Sugar comes under many, many different kinds of names, so we'll never know all of them. So, one way to keep ahead of these guys is use your monitor and test the foods every once in a while. And the monitor will tell you the truth. That's right, my friends. So, these are the lifestyle changes I made and the ones that have worked for me and the ones that could possibly work for you. So, don't forget, testing is important. Test all your food and find out how it spikes your blood sugar number. And also, you might not have to remove things so drastically like I did, but you'll learn which ones they spike and you'll learn about how to incorporate them in your daily diet. All right, that's it for this short video. Hit the like button, hit the subscription button so YouTube will let you know every time I try to put up a new video. I try to put up videos on a weekly basis as time and scheduling permits. Also, all carbs turn to sugar except for water. And if you'd like to know a little bit more about Anthony's diabetes story, well, hit the link below, Anthony's diabetes story, and watch an interview I did on another diabetes station channel a few years ago. And you'll get a better understanding at my history. All right, that's it for now, and we will see you soon. Bye.